All right, everyone, welcome to Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news from Twitter, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, the websites by plebes. And joining us today is a special guest. We've got Ethan, who is the co-founder of Luxor mining pool. He's going to be talking a little bit later on. But first, we're kicking it off with the numbers. All right. We are currently at a block height of 675,933. Current Bitcoin price 54,600. Chain rewrite days 608. Total lightning capacity 1,161.55. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 9.7%. Sats per dollar not low enough. 1,832. It's okay, but it could be better.
We took a little bit of a tumble, Phil, but it's all good, man. I feel like the rocket is like ready to go, and I feel like the more we spend at these levels consolidating, the more liftoff we'll have. But again, we don't like to speculate on this show. That being said, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily fail. All right, today's daily fail. All right, so Max Kaiser, he's not the daily fail, but we're going to play this out here, right? Nothing stops him from doing the exact same thing tomorrow, signing and reselling the same digital file. The buyer has no rights to stop him from doing this. And what's he talking about? He's talking about Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey selling an NFT for $2.9 million. Okay, so look, like everybody has their opinions on NFTs, right? And the way I see them, okay, this reminds me of the stuff I collect, like Garbage Pail Kids cards. And wacky packages and Transformers and G.I. Joes and Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong, it's really cool and it's worth a lot to the people that also collect it, which is fantastic. But when it comes to NFTs, it really is always going to be niche. It's really never going to be a widespread store of value. So to me, if you're buying this stuff, like, unfortunately, you really got to look at it for what it is. And it's just like a toy, and everybody can have tons of them. They're really, I just don't see how they're ever going to be scarce. And I don't see how, if they are scarce, why that even matters for an NFT. Why do I even care when I can just copy and paste the same picture 50 times? Like, why do I care that I have a special digital signature to that picture? Why does that even matter? Anyways, I'm sure people are going to disagree, but sorry, not sorry.
I still don't know what an NFT is, nor do I bother to care to know. I mean, I guess there's a lot of people paying a lot of money for it. I know someone spent like $60 million or something on one of these things. That
was fake, by the way.
I don't know what they are. I still don't know what they are. They don't make sense. But Ethan, we're very curious to think. What are your thoughts on this NFT fail?
I don't even understand like normal art. So to get into NFTs, I mean, I'm probably like the least knowledgeable about that. I go to an art museum, someone drags me there. I'm like, what is this? What am I looking at here? So yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on NFTs. I'm just a lowly miner focusing on mining industry.
I like that. It's an amazing answer. And this is exactly why we're Simply Bitcoin.
Yep.
This shit doesn't make sense to us. But I mean, I guess some people find it valuable, but personally, we think it's garbage. Anyways, Phil, it's time for it.
The daily meme review.
All right, everybody. The meme for today is brought to us by a plebe, T-Bane, aka @Blockbane. Check this out. It's more like an art piece. I guess it's a meme. It really is a meme, but it's a very powerful meme. Definitely indicative of the times. It's the tank man, or like it's famously known, it's a very famous image standing up to, the Chinese Communist Party tanks in Tiananmen Square. But he's got the freaking laser eyes. Very powerful meme because of the very strange times we are living in. And for that, Phil, I'm going to give it a USB-A 3.0 to USB-C cable. What about you?
It's a solid score. Adaptable too. I mean, look, that meme is okay. So I think it's awesome, but I think it's niche. I think we're going to understand it. I think there's a very small group of people that are going to understand it, but I totally agree. It is absolutely powerful, which is why I am giving it a flat HDMI cable.
Excellent score, phenomenal scores. Very, very cable-y today. What does the humble miner, Mr. Ethan, think?
The beauty of it is that it's like simplistic in nature. You know, he didn't edit the picture too much beyond kind of the laser eyes, and he left a lot of the original kind of meaning to it. I mean, he could have spiced it up by putting some like different faces, like a Peter Schiff on one of the tanks or something. It would have been a little bit funnier. But overall, I think, you know, pretty good score. I was in Tiananmen Square actually a couple of years ago, and definitely a powerful symbol for freedom around the world.
Absolutely. What would you give it?
I don't have a USB cord on me. I'll give it 7 to 10. 7 to 10 on my meme scale.
Okay, 7 to 10. Okay. We didn't explain the meme scale, the updated meme scale to our guests. Perhaps we should have done it. I did it on purpose this time just to see what he would react. Didn't react what I thought he would react. So next time we will give our guest a heads up. But for this time, excellent scores, USB cable, Ethernet cable, and a 7 through 10. Excellent scores for the meme. Epic meme. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks.
All right, everybody, an update to the ultimate shitcoin, our favorite shitcoin, and that is the United States dollar. And here it is. You know, it just keeps going down to Bitcoin, and you know, but that's you know, it's the dollar. It's a shitcoin. That's what happens to all fiat. But anyways, the news for today, I kind of wanted to focus on this idea, this judicial arbitrage and this incentive like game, this black hole that Bitcoin creates. It's very crazy, but I wanted to focus kind of on the mining side. We've reported on these articles as they've been released, but essentially what I wanted to talk to Ethan about, you guys will see very soon. But anyways, check out this article. India to propose cryptocurrency ban, penalizing miners, traders. Right? You see that and you don't know about Bitcoin and you're like, well, look, Bitcoin's dead. India's going to ban it. But then, of course, this is what I'm talking about, the judicial arbitrage. You have literally a neighboring country and the government is announcing that they plan to build 2 mining farms. Of course, another country banning Bitcoin or banning Bitcoin mining is an opportunity, right? A financial opportunity to another country that's willing to open up its doors to that, right? And ideology kind of goes out the window. You don't only see this in that part of the world, you also see this in Venezuela. Venezuela released a propaganda video coming from the army, kind of, you know, putting miners together for the security of the country. You see this in the United States as well. Kentucky legislature approves bills providing incentives for crypto miners. Phil's laughing at my reading skills. It's okay. English is my second language. It's fine, Phil.
I'm laughing about the crypto miners. Crypto.
But anyways, we have Barry Silbert, one by one. Silbert. Thank you. One by one, all the major North American Bitcoin miners are switching from Chinese mining pools to the Foundry USA pool. So not only does it apply to mining in general, like actual mining, it also applies to mining pools, right? So if you're not treated well by Chinese mining pools, you could migrate to American mining pools. Like, look at Luxor. Are you guys Canadian? I always forget.
American.
You
haven't reviewed my. I have a meme to review on that first comment there. You guys should have reviewed that one in the opening.
Which one?
Look at that comment there by Edward. So this is funny because Barry actually, like, he was kind of positioning that he's taking hash rate from Chinese pools, but in reality it was like Slush Pool, which is like, you know, a really good pool for the network and not even based in China. So Ed had a few like words to say there.
Dude,
you gotta click on Barry's comment there to see what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Look.
Oh, dude.
I just got like this GIF thing, so I love playing around with it and putting faces.
Hell yeah, dude, it's hilarious. I would give that a scissor. But anyways, moving on to
nice though.
You know, it's a great meme. So anyways, moving on to
Barry.
the next article, I lost my train. Okay. Yeah, okay, so back to what I was saying, essentially with this judicial arbitrage in Bitcoin, this goes to the idea that countries are going to start wanting to basically accumulate as much hash rate as possible, or try to get as many miners within their borders as possible. Right, here's an interesting article. Right, it says the coming Bitcoin hash wars will be the new space race. We're not the only ones to think so. This person's not the only one to think so. Max Kaiser has been talking about this a lot. He says global hash wars. He talks about hash wars a lot in general. And now you're seeing the city of Miami, and I wanted to save this for last because I'm a Miami local, so this is special to me, is considering giving incentives for Bitcoin mining to grow the industry. The Bitcoin Miami mayor, Francis Suarez, says. So, man, it's just so many. It's crazy, Ethan, right? That like a country that closes up to Bitcoin becomes an opportunity to Bitcoin, right? This judicial arbitrage, or hash wars, maybe how Max likes to call it. What are your thoughts on all this, right? Give us your insights, please.
Yeah, I think like the hash rate wars across different countries, different continents, going to continue here. Beyond just like supporting the economics behind it and getting extra revenue as a country, I think it's going to become increasingly important to support Bitcoin as it becomes a reserve currency. Every country in the world should want a stake in this network and some ability to influence it. Let's say like the U.S. in the future like wants to form a position on Taproot. Well, the only way they can do so is for them to acquire hash rate, and so even like changes at the protocol level, I think are going to be really important for countries to do. And then one of the more interesting ones is like how mining changes energy infrastructure systems, right? We're seeing that right now in the US. A lot of the stuff you're doing, Nico, in the farm, all of these developments at Bitcoin mining level can really revolutionize the way in which we build energy infrastructure systems and they scale. And so if you're a country like India and you're not going to take a position on it and let it flourish, you're going to get left behind in all these verticals. So, hats off to like Pakistan or even countries like the US for like supporting it where they can. State municipalities, places like Kentucky, I think it's going to become increasingly important for them or they'll get left behind.
Absolutely. Do you see more of the hash rate? Because one of the major FUD points that needs to be dispelled, and you're definitely one of the perfect people to address this, is why is there so much concentration of the hash rate in China? And I believe it's nothing to worry about. I also believe it's going to get more decentralized over time as miner manufacturing is hitting Moore's law. Right. But I want to get your thoughts and your opinions on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to change, like you said. There's a lot of good growth in North America going on right now. Historically, China, people had this assumption that China had superior energy infrastructure systems, which isn't necessarily true. They do have an abundance of power in Sichuan, overbuilt hydro, and in Xinjiang, a lot of coal power. But US has a lot of advanced and cheap electricity sources too. And so we're starting to see that really develop now in places like Texas or New York or Montana, Dakota, etc. So we're going to start to see a lot more hash rate come to the US. And one of the biggest benefits or tailwinds right now is the access to capital markets. Can you guys still hear me okay?
We can still hear you, yes.
Okay, cool. So the access to capital markets. Historically, mining's kind of been the Wild West where ASIC lines were opaque, mining pools, it was hard to audit their payouts. And so a lot of like investment capital in North America was on the sideline, whereas Chinese investors were kind of pouring money into the early days of industrial crypto mining. But now that some of those like different verticals have started to professionalize, now US and Canadian investors have been unleashed on Bitcoin mining, and those capital markets are open for business. You're seeing Riot Blockchain, Marathon Group, they're raising hundreds of millions of dollars in public markets now. And so they can start building out a lot faster than Chinese counterparts. And so I think that shift is happening. People don't need to worry too much about the concentration of hash rate power in China because it's going to change here. And, it's going to start getting distributed more evenly.
Absolutely. And I definitely agree with that. And yeah, you definitely see a lot of activity, a lot of interest, definitely in public companies like Riot. I think there's another one called Marathon or something like that. I forget. I might have to pop it up, but also there's definitely, it's not only one, but there's a couple public companies now that are mining Bitcoin. And remember, guys, this is all important because it's all good for Bitcoin, right? The higher the hash rate, theoretically, the higher the value proposition of Bitcoin. And that's, Phil, when you hear all of this, curious, because I know that a lot of our viewers, they hear this, they have it in mind, it's like, why is this important? But when you hear all of this, what are your thoughts? Like, do you see this as important? Do you find it curious? Do you find it valuable? Do you hear this and you're like, this is good for Bitcoin, number go up? What are your thoughts?
Definitely think it's good for Bitcoin. It's also reassuring because for somebody like me that really doesn't know mining remotely close to either of you, it's, I kind of envision that, okay, right now it seems like more of the mining is centralized in certain pockets, but as you indicated, the markets are still growing. And as that happens, it's going to disperse. So when you say that, because you're actually looking at this and you're in the scene and working in that, it kind of validates, at least lets me think, okay, I'm thinking on the right track.
Absolutely. And yeah, so, and Ethan, I think that another one of the other criticisms that I also hear, specifically from no coiners and from everybody, is this idea that you're late to Bitcoin. You missed the bus, so to speak, right? What would you say to those people?
Early days, really early days. I mean, people were saying that 3-4 months ago. They're like, hey, you should not invest in mining. It costs $35 a terahash to buy a machine, and now it's over 100. And so now the hour is even later, but I still think, in the grand scheme of things, it's still early. And so people investing in mining now, yes, it's a very hot ASIC market, really short supply on those machines, but it could get a lot shorter in terms of supply to demand balance. And so I still think it's a good time to invest in mining. You got to look at it with a 5-year Bitcoin accumulation perspective, where we saw that proven with the S9 model, right? So you could have bought an S9 at peak price of $2,000. At the height of the 2017-2018 bull run. And then by the end of 2018, you would have looked really bad. Your investment would have been negative because you bought it at such a high price and the price came down. But if you had just had strong hands and held your S9 until now, you would have been fine, because S9s are now selling at $400 again, and they're making a shit ton of money. And so what we often joke about in mining is that competent people make money in mining, incompetent people make money in mining, and the only people who lose out are people who sell and give up. So get into mining, don't give up, look long term, expand your time horizon, and I think it's still a good investment.
Amen. And this is exactly why we brought Mr. Ethan Vera on the show. Excellent news segment. Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. So it looks like we had Tails OS version 4.17 that was released, and the details to that are down below in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. Guys, I want to give an awesome shout out to our guest, Ethan_Vera. You could follow him on Twitter. He is a hash rate merchant at Luxor. That's his own bio, but he works the operations over there. Super cool. I've known this guy for forever. He's been on my pod, and I want to give a shout out to this awesome website they have been working on. We have mentioned it before on website or Bitcoin websites for plebes or by plebes, I forget. But anyways, you can check it out at hashrateindex.com. It's super awesome. It's like that hash rate, the hash rate explorer or whatever that you usually go to, that website is like that on steroids. It's so much better. Definitely go check it out. I'm a huge fan. But anyways, guys, that is gonna do it. That is today's episode. If you liked it, you know what to do. Smash that like button. And of course, if you love our show, if you want to see more news from the Bitcoin perspective, subscribe and we will see you tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin.